11:35 on the Big Show clock. Bob Quinn on the Big Show today, being brought to you by the Coalition to Support Iowa's Farmers, the livestock folks, and we're going to be on the road tomorrow with the Coalition, another Working Good Farm Neighbor Award presentation, and I will tell you we are going to be in southern Iowa, and I'm not going to tell you any place anymore because you have to tune in and find out who we're talking about. But I would imagine that we're going to see some corn tasseling in southern Iowa. In fact, Nathan, we have been asking about that, and I just got a picture sent to me, and I have passed it on to you from Heather Hora, one of our elected representatives here in the state of Iowa, and she serves Washington County and surrounding areas. So she sent a picture from, I'm assuming not too far from their home farm there, the Hora Farm down in Washington County. And that field is tasseled.
Yes.
And then Heather sent one for the slower students, me being in particular close-up, and said, we've got tassels here. And that makes sense because they're a little bit ahead of us planting-wise. So I would imagine that this is going to be the weekend that was for tasseling corn here, probably in the lower half of the state, everything south of Interstate 80. Now, up around where Dwayne is, up around Fort Dodge, Rockwell City, they may be a little while yet. They're a little bit behind. They're a couple weeks behind us as far as planting. I would give you an update from the DMAC farm, but we've got soybeans in there, and if we see tassels on soybeans, we have got a problem. So we're not going to be looking there. But, Heather has sent, and thank you so much for that, and we're going to put that up on our picture site.
Yeah, and along with that, if you want to contribute, if maybe you don't get the privilege of having Bob Quinn's cell phone number, and we already have a listener that's actually reading my mind, you can text us on the Pioneer Z-Series text line. Tassels are poking up in Mahaska County, says one of our listeners, and sends a picture as well. 515-999-5491.
See, and that is not quite where we're going to be tomorrow, but boy, it's just a breath away. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing some. If I get further south than Madison County, which I'll tell you, you get into Madison County, and it doesn't get much better than that. At least all of us Madisonian residents believe that, right?
I like to think so.
Yeah. So tassels on corn, first ones we've seen, and now we're going to talk to Brian Hoops, who's in the telephone line right now. And Brian is down in southern Missouri, and I'm not going to be surprised if he says that they're going to start combining corn here pretty quick because they're way, way ahead of us. Reminder, we're being brought to you by the Coalition to Support Iowa's Farmers. And before we talk to Brian, I need to remind you of our word that could put $1,000 headed your way for your Freedom Fund account. That word this hour is bonus, B-O-N-U-S, bonus. Yeah, you type that in the little pop-up box there at the radio station's website you're listening to. You could be getting a $1,000 phone call. Heard some laughter in the background. That was Brian Hoops laughing. Brian, we're just starting to see tassels here. I know where you are. You have seen them for quite some time. You're probably, 3 weeks ahead of us, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty close, Bob. Yeah, it's 2 weeks ago I saw tassels for sure. So 2 to 3 weeks probably ahead of you guys as far as that goes. And it's estimated by about July the 20th that over 50% of the entire Midwest would be through pollination time frame. And certainly weather looks to be good until that time frame. It looks to be nearly ideal as far as pollinating the crop. And given that forecast, we're still seeing a bounce in the grain markets today, and a lot of it has to do with maybe the longer-term forecast that would affect soybeans more than corn. They can't really predict what it's going to be for 4th of July weekend, let alone 2 weeks from now. But by the end of the month, there's some forecast models that are talking about much hotter conditions, much drier conditions, which would certainly affect yield potential for soybeans. That, along with soybean oil moving sharply higher, is really the catalyst to give us the strength this morning. The Senate bill, or bill that passed the Senate, does promote the expansion of American biodiesel, and you've noticed bean oil sharply higher today, sharply higher yesterday, and that has given us some strength in the entire soy complex. So soybeans and soybean oil and wheat have all taken out this week's highs, made new weekly highs. Corn's yet to do that, but is getting close to doing that same thing. So finding actually some technical buying along with the support from increased usage of biodiesels, and maybe some dry conditions at the end of July.
Yeah, everything kind of came together. November beans have been up 17, 18 cents. We're now 10.45. Our high on the day is 10.45 and a half. So, like you mentioned, an unexpected rally, I guess, in soybeans. And you mentioned it's tied to this bill here. I don't know, Brian. What do you think? You'd have to have a pretty good crystal ball if you knew what was going to happen. But do you think we got some more strength yet in this market?
Yeah, I want to say I think we do, especially if it does turn drier. You know, the market has largely discounted some very big yields. You know, you went from talking 180, 81 bushel type yields to now people are throwing out there 187 or 188 type corn yields. Well, we haven't even pollinated the crop yet, so it's maybe premature to talk about that. But it looks like we're going to have a really big corn crop. We're going to get through pollination without any real significant weather issues, so we should have a big yield. It's the soybeans, I think, that have the most upside potential in here. It does look like we could increase usage of the biodiesels, increase demand for soybean oil, which in turn bodes well for soybean values. And if we do have a dry end to the growing season, that decreases the oil content of the soybeans itself. So you have to have more soybeans to crush to get that oil. It's very possibly a very friendly scenario, and I do think there is some more upside, especially for soybeans, soybean oil, with meal and corn, the laggards in here, based off of good growing conditions and just lack of demand for meal.
Well, we're going to let this market cook a little bit here and get back with you in an hour and 10 minutes. In the meantime, if folks want to talk markets with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can reach me directly, 417-501-5132. You can also go to our website, MidwestMarketSolutions.com, see a list of our offices with phone numbers there, and sign up for our daily videos, newsletters, that sort of thing, Twitter feed as well.
Well, Brian, we'll talk to you again. Brian Hoops coming up an hour and 10 minutes. MidwestMarketSolutions.com is where you find him.
And fun.
We speak farm.
This is the Big Show.
12:55 here on the Big Show clock. Let's talk markets right now. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions, on the line with us. Brian, when the day started, I thought we might have a kind of a ho-hum day in the marketplace. Yet we are off and running. November beans up 19.5 now. December corn up 9.25 cents. What is pushing this market higher today?
Well, we first segment, we talked about maybe a possible change in the weather going into late July, but there's also some other news that is giving us some strength here. Trade deal with Vietnam has been announced this morning. That's a $2.9 billion worth of ag products. First time Vietnam has ever opened its markets to the United States. And I also have a rumor that I had heard earlier, and there's a pretty reputable firm that is, I guess, confirming this rumor, so I'll go ahead and share it. But President Trump is expected to be speaking in your area, Des Moines, Iowa, at the fairgrounds tomorrow night. And there's widely rumored that he will be announcing a ag package with China at that point in time. So that is really shaking things up this morning. Of course, that, if in fact it does come true, it all depends on kind of the details, but that would open the doors to a lot of markets here the U.S. has been missing out on. They've bought zero corn, zero new crop soybeans from the United States, and that is badly needed to give our American farmers a better pricing opportunities to open up that market and enable China.
That would certainly be in corn and soybean country. What a backdrop that would be. And those rumors are starting to circulate, and they're starting to hit the market now, as a matter of fact. So, Brian, and I know it's hard to predict anything with that kind of news hanging over the marketplace, but what do you think we're going to see here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, the weather does look good for the next 2 weeks, but I think the market is probably going to look past that and figure we've already factored some of that into the prices that we're currently trading. $4.30 December corn instead of $4.60, $4.70, $4.80 corn. We could easily push soybeans back near the 10.80 level. I think corn could get back closer to 445, maybe 450 area. It all really depends on what the agreement has to say. And we've heard the Vietnam announcement this morning. There's probably other countries to follow as the deadline is approaching in the next week. So if we can assume that we're going to have more of these trade agreements, hopefully that opens up the door for more marketing opportunities for our farmers. So I would think prices probably get a little bit better from here into the end of July off of some of this news. And if weather does turn very dry by the end of July, we could see a very nice rally.
About 30 seconds left here, Brian. We're still seeing strength in livestock, though, as well.
Yeah, cattle market turning around here. It was sharply lower this morning. Now we're trading triple-digit gains here in the mid-session. A little bit cash trade starting to break loose, and it's steady to maybe just $1 lower instead of several dollars lower. So that cash trade, I think, could be stronger by next week. Packers come back buying for a full kill schedule next week. Probably going to push the markets a little bit higher as they have a lot of good margins to work with now.
Brian, if folks want to talk markets with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can reach me directly, 417-501-5132.